This whole conversation is so respectful.
Mute that Mute that I'm tired of him. Okay, my older sister's named Jamie. He would encourage her to come in the car with her. He literally 14-year-old. He's a hebephile. He's like.
I think he's a little bit more than just autistic. Who was around for the Bowblax streams with mr.girl? Okay? Don't know if anyone in chat was. Just 2 years ago, right? So this was when Bowblax was going on his, I'd say probably his crashouts around the mr.girl stuff. And this was a stream that he did. This was a stream that he did to basically address an interview that Augie had with mr.girl. So, okay, we can get into this, okay? Fuck. Let me know if this is too loud. Let me know what the audio is like.
Yeah, just watch your part. I don't know where it is, though. That's why I said I need timestamp.
Yes,
like,
there we go.
I don't know what he said, obviously, but, like, based on everything I've said, I'm just asking questions based on what he told me. He said he's attracted to minors. Then I'm like, okay, does that make you no map? And he's like, no, but he doesn't give me an explanation. Gonna make you mad 99% sure. I've been completely honest, as charitable as...
So, just to give you a little bit of context about what he's talking about.
Bowblax, explain, then we're gonna go into
It's the video that gave us this, okay? Now this is an absolutely classic clip. If you haven't seen it, okay, this is a treat I'm giving you, right? Me and Morale are probably of a similar mind about mr.girl. I quite like him, big fan. But anyway, so this is, I think, a completely separate topic, basically, that they're trying to talk about. I think this is actually a panel on porn. Bowblax joins in, starts talking to Max, to mr.girl, and he's basically asking him, do you think it's, do you think you can be accurately described as a no-map? Right? Because he rejects the term paedophile, obviously. But obviously you made the cuties review. So Bowblax is trying to, will you ever bring back Dr. Pedophile? Probably not. But Bowblax is basically trying to ask him a question that they had on Twitter, a little bit of a disagreement, about whether he would consider himself a no-map, right? Since he doesn't consider himself a paedophile. Goes into a huge long argument of mr.girl basically saying, no, no, that's just a polite word for paedophile, no, no, right? Ends up with this, okay? Because obviously it goes on quite a while. Max gets quite annoyed, as you can probably understand. And it ends in this Kino clip.
Because Moth and Glink want to get in, and I want to give them a chance.
I'll say two more things, and then I'll give Moth and Glink time because I'm respectful.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This whole conversation is so respectful of you.
Mute that motherfucker! Mute that motherfucker! I'm tired of him interjecting when I'm trying to make two simple points. Holy shit! Sorry for losing my cool, but it's, oh my god.
Yeah. So anyway, there, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure, it's hard to tell with Bowblax. Because, you know, of the way he is. But I'm fairly sure he did actually cry there, okay? Not sure, okay? Yeah. But, there we are. So, after all that, to be fair, in the context of the conversation, okay? So, Max would give these very, very short responses, right? And then Bowblax would go on this kind of meandering... He's probably high on weed, right? To be fair. Or to be honest, rather. But he goes on these really long, kind of meandering, like, diatribes about, you know, different stuff. And when Max responds, he just tries to respond to each point, right? And there's a huge disconnect. Bowblax just can't do these kind of, like, long-form conversations. Augie and Max then do, I guess, an interview, a discussion after this, to basically get his take on it. But this is what he's reacting to.
As humanly possible. You know, I could just go out and say he's a pedo, but I'm not going to do that. I'm being as absolutely charitable as possible. And I'm just using his own words. And if he's mad at that, maybe he should look at himself, because all I'm doing is reflecting what he has said back to him.
Okay, so this is, like I say, after that engagement already, right? It's after that engagement already. And he's saying, listen, if he's upset with what I'm saying, it's just the truth, okay? He's going to have to accept that, which we'll see, but might not actually be maybe the most fair characterization. Because he already hates him by this point. He already seriously dislikes him. He doesn't quite hate him. He will still speak to him, despite thinking he's annoying and probably a little bit of a weird guy, but there we go.
He said he's attracted to the minors and cuties. I say that makes you a minor attracted person. That's it. If he's mad at that, then that's on him, not on me. It's like he agrees with you, but he still wants to argue. He's just mad that the label no map looks bad, but that's how he's describing himself.
But this is the problem as well, because Bowblax is getting autistically fixated, right, on the very, particular definition of it, right? Like, the very, very strict definition. But obviously, he's ignoring the connotation. And obviously, Max is very, very aware of the connotation, and very explicitly wants to avoid it, so, yeah.
If I'm incorrect about that label, I will 100% correct it and own up to misunderstandings, but...
Because the conversation as well was all focused around Bowblax saying, listen, I don't want to mischaracterize your sexuality, okay? I don't want to put words in your mouth about your sexuality, blah, 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 blah. So now, to basically have an hour-long conversation with him, asking if he accepts this term over and over and over again, and trying to explain why this term should be accepted by him. He's still calling him that.
The only argument I've heard against it is that it was made by pedos to cover up their pedophilic tendencies and it has a bad stigma. Okay. But if we go on what the label is describing, non-offending minor attracted person, he would still fall under that category, whether it's primary or not. Because I know another argument is like, oh, I'm primarily attracted to adults, but, seeing a cute, in his words, 12-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever, can, get me, aroused. I wouldn't want a relationship with them, but, it's a little hot to Mr. Girl. That still makes you a minor attracted person. You might not be primarily attracted to them. You might not do anything about it. You're probably not going to do anything about it, hence the no in no map, but it would still fit the definition of no map. And if he...
Okay, so he is still going on about this, okay? These are all the same arguments he went over in the stream when they were talking about this. He is still going over them again and again and again. It's a long stream, alright, it's very meandering, it's very fucking boring, to be honest. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. Exact same arguments. That happen again and again and again and again and again, which is why Max started interrupting him, to be fair.
He doesn't like that. I mean, there needs to be...
He keeps on saying, it's like, well, it might have that connotation, but you can reclaim it. Not quite how it works.
I feel like there should be a word for it, right? Because I don't feel like it's typical... I guess the major disagreement between me and Stardust and Mr. Girl is how typical this behavior is. Is it a majority of men? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? In our private convo, Stardust said 20%. I said 5 to 10%. But there's still even if it's common, let's say even if it's 90% of men who feel this way, there still should be a label for it. How there's a label for being straight, heterosexual. There's a label.
I'm going to skip past this because this is literally just him rehashing all the same arguments he had before. Oh, hey guy, how's it going? Okay, and here's where he gets the link.
Label as anything. We could invent a new one, semi-hebophilia. I mean, hebophilia feels like it fits as well. Although you'd have to, when you're talking about this type of stuff, I think it is important to clarify the non-offending part. I honestly don't think I'm slandering him. Okay, he talks about it at 1:56:20.
Because the point is, right, and the core disagreement is, listen, Max just thinks he's like everyone else, right? He thinks everybody is like this. So he just rejects all labels, full stop, for it. Because he just thinks you only label something to distinguish it as different from the norm, right? You don't have a word for somebody who uses, like, I don't know, has like 5 fingers, right? Or 2 legs. Because that's just like normal. You don't need to label that. And so that's kind of what he's referencing there. Listen, we're not getting into the crash out yet.
This is probably
Slow
gonna
burn.
trigger me.
Just need the context, okay?
All right, let's see what he says.
I don't know if it's just performative.
Okay.
It's
I think
more
some
like
of it's
misplaced.
real, but it's misguided.
Yeah, misguided outrage. Because I'm not trying to say, like, Bowblax is clearly trying to sort through something with this. He keeps tweeting at me about my sexual orientation
He has
label.
a personal experience that
Philosopher Bowblax at work. Yeah. The problem is he's trying to engage in it, but he's, just a little, well, I'd say frankly just like ill-equipped, unequipped to even have the conversation. Yeah.
that
Okay, so he keeps tweeting at me.
And he very clearly, from the very start, had a very low opinion of Max, right? So none of this is really being engaged with, I'd say, in good faith, or yeah.
Let me try and like address it, because like obviously for the day we talked, I was thinking about it in my head, like I'm trying to like work through it, but I really don't think like
God, back in the day when you could scroll through Bowblax's Twitter and not have to worry about what you'd find. Those were the days.
spam tweeting about it. Now, unfortunately, I did have to talk about it again yesterday specifically because of like the Ricky joke, and I wanted to like not concern people. And then like I think I had like one tweet after we talked. I had one tweet responding in technicals when I first saw the clip, asking if it was real, and we had like a little conversation there. Then we talked on stream, and then I had one more tweet about it. And I mean the reason it goes.
Oh yeah, Bowblax has litigated this with technicals as well, which, if you don't know, used to be a commentary guy before he weirdly went and then defended a paedophile. And that was why he kind of got kicked out, but yeah.
Into,
So this is
I guess I
well
did talk
trodden
about it
ground
here as
for him
well.
at this point. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I've been talking about it a little too much. I really
He's
do
been
wanna,
talking about
I
it
feel
too
like my
much.
position has already been clear and his position's already clear. I don't want to like rag on about it a little too
Yep.
much, but maybe I did talk about it maybe a little too much. Okay.
directly. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
I saw
here's the
that.
deal.
I saw his tweets about that, and like I understand, and I found it really fucking strange. Here's what he told me over tweets publicly. He
Yep.
said, a phoebophile who was his tutor, groomed his sister
Yes.
when she was 16,
Yes.
waited until she was 18.
Okay, so yeah, Max is fairly recapping all of this. This is information he put on Twitter, okay? In the discourse about this is information that Bowblax has shared on Twitter, okay?
Then had a 5-year relationship with her
Yes.
that ruined her life.
Yes.
I don't know what the fuck that means. To me, well, like I know I'm not trying to discount this as an upsetting sore spot for him. Clearly,
So obviously Max has got an incredibly brutal way of speaking, but for him, this is quite soft, okay? He's genuinely trying to speak with tact about this topic, which, in fair play, is he's genuinely not trying to upset the guy. He's trying to give his genuine thoughts about it and kind of talk about, because Bowblax has thrown this out, right, in the argument. He's made all of this public as an attack, so he kind of can't get too mad about this being responded to, right? I mean, he knows how it goes. He's the Twitter guy, or was.
So like, I mean, obviously there's a lot more details than that, but there's only so much I can say in a tweet, and there's only so much I'm comfortable with saying because it's not my story necessarily to tell. But let me listen to his interpretation of it. And I only brought it up to like
Remember, he says here, it's not his story to tell, okay?
clarify a specific
Just remember
point.
that.
I think his point was that, and he keeps bringing this up multiple times too. It's kind of annoying that he brings this up. I do feel like he's being a little disingenuous when he keeps like constantly saying this after I've clarified. But like in a lot of responses to my tweets, let's see. I think he says I'm dictated by advertiser guidelines and social pressure. And he keeps on saying that multiple times. And the reason I brought it up, and this was from an earlier conversation, like days before, I think I've like responded to him saying that at least like 3 separate times. Fuck, I need to go to tweets and replies for this one. I'm gonna scroll a little bit.
Let's scoot through this a little bit. So you can see just how many threads he's having to click through. He has been talking about this a lot. He's been going over this again and again and again and again.
Which is the mainstream view on social media. Like he keeps saying that like I'm having opinions because it's mainstream, but no, I just brought up this specific example just to show you that like I've looked into I haven't graduated from college for psychology, but I did go to college briefly for psychology, and I have looked into it a lot online. I mean, psychology is like a great a passion topic of mine, which is part of the reason why I even do YouTube drama.
You're gonna film the dream drama today? Yeah, I'll probably end up covering that later as well. Just want to ease in with an old favorite of mine.
And then obviously I've had my experience.
Jamie, I completely agree. Yeah, it is his fault.
Knowing a hebephile firsthand and how that affected, my sister as well as other people in the family. There's a lot that goes into it, obviously. So I'm just trying to explain that, like, my point of view isn't that, I disagree with Mr.Girl because the mainstream says it's okay to. Like, this comes from I don't want him to discredit what I'm saying by, like, excusing it as, like, a copy-paste of everybody else saying stuff. Like, I came to this conclusion on my own from my own experiences and my own research, and not based off someone on Twitter saying pedophilia is bad, or the commentary community going after, Lion Maker or something like that. So that's what I was trying to bring up, but that's the reason I brought it up specifically.
It is. But the narrative, it seems like it was given by his parents.
No. Wait, what?
Somebody wrote that story.
No.
It's not like an objective read of what happened.
That is. Wait, that
Does
is.
a 5-year relationship ruin your life?
Are you fucking insane? His parents didn't read it. I was there firsthand. Are you kidding me? It gave her psychological issues. My sister.
Okay, so just to go into it. Yeah, I guess Bowblax is going to explain it, but he basically uses who the fuck is Chud logic. If you don't know, you might be one of the first viewers who don't, okay? Story commentary. That's all you need to know. Okay, so he's going to go into it, but he almost always says a name. Yes. And you will hear, and he will regret it instantly, and then just decide We'll get into it. Anyway. Yeah, so his sister, I think she was, 17. She had a piano teacher who, went ahead and, or some kind of tutor or something. And then she went in a 5-year relationship with him. But he lists this guy as, like, an ephebophile. Despite, I think, it being legal in Canada at the time. Or, no, sorry. It wasn't, actually. It was, but they didn't do anything illegal. It gets messy. Bowblax will go into all of it.
She's a super intellectual person.
What's my quick take on Mr. Girl? Fuck. Okay, so I don't necessarily like him as a person, okay? I don't necessarily like him. I wouldn't be a friend of his, probably. Maybe I wouldn't, be happy if my sister was going to date him, or a family member was going to date him. But I like his art a lot, and I think it's incisive, and he has unique thoughts, and I think he's a funny guy, okay? So as an artist, he's good. But yeah, a nobody, banned from everything, yeah.
Super smart. She got her bachelor's degree at like 25. Or not bachelor's, like master's or something. The second one, the second to last one before PhD. That's how much I don't know about school.
This is how much Bowblax doesn't know about school. That's very late, okay? That's very late to get a master's degree.
Like...
Well, not very late, okay? But that's not like an accelerated course of study. In the UK, at least, you get your master's at... What would it be? 22? Pretty sure in America you get it at... what would it be? Yeah, 24. So the fact that she got it at 25... I mean, yeah, it's not an accelerated course of study. She got it late. Average, fair play. I'm not sure what it's like in Canada.
For so many reasons, and not just because there's just so many reasons that go into it. Like, she was... there's so many things that go in. It's so complicated. There's so many things that go into it. But I don't know how we can say that doesn't ruin your life. You know, just face value. A 28-year-old dating a 18-year-old isn't going to ruin your life, right? But it's
So the very fact that Max is even questioning Masters at 25 is standard if you do nothing but full-time school? Really? Okay, I might be wrong then. Okay. Maybe it's standard.
the context around it. Is the fact.
Oh yeah, but again, just for clarity, this is just how kind of warped like his mind is getting. Just from the fact that Max is questioning, yeah, how can you even get, you know, how can you even get like hurt? How can your life be ruined by the age of like, you know, 23 or whatever? You're still a kid. This sounds like a narrative that his parents has given him. Like, this sounds really over the top. Anyway, yeah. Masters at 22 seems too fast. That's what it's like in the UK. 18, 3 years of bachelor's, you're 21. 1 year of masters. Yeah, we go through it pretty quick. I think Germany's the same, though, to be fair. Most of Europe's the same.
When she was 16, she was homeschooled. She looks younger than she actually is. If you saw a picture of her right now, she's like, I think 28. You would think she's like 21. When she was 16, she looked young. She looked like a 14. She had braces. She wore normal t-shirts, not showing any cleavage.
1 year, yeah. You get put through it pretty quick.
She looked very young. She looked essentially like the girls in Cuties. All right, obviously she wasn't dressed provocatively, but like the actors in Cuties, you dress normally. That's what she looked like at 16. The tutor, he was there to help me. Frequently, we would like go out like to a store or whatever. He was there to like teach me and watch over me. He was also like a babysitter.
Again, why is he sharing all this detail? Okay. We know so much. I didn't know you were live. I told you I was live. Never mind. Anyway, why is he sharing all this? For an internet debate, okay, with Mr.Girl. This is more detail than he's ever given, by the way. This is the most detail he gives on this stream, okay? And he's going into it in full.
He would encourage Jamie. Okay, my older sister's name's Jamie. He would encourage her to come with her, to come in the car with her. He would pay more attention to her than me, even though it's his job to pay attention to me. He would flirt with her. Before they only got in a relationship after they were 18. But I said her name, so I don't want to say so many stuff publicly. But
he doesn't want to, but he has to.
And let's just say that the tutor has CP on his computer. Has definitely had CP on his computer at a certain point. Let's just say that, all right? Because that's fucking true. And he had anger issues. He lived with his parents. He is
Godspeed, yeah,
so
kind of.
There's so much shit that goes into it, and the fact that he just thinks this is a.
Oh my god.
Obviously, what I said
especially true about Bowblax. He can't help.
It's very surface level. When I say 5 years, there's a lot that goes into it. All right, and even though she hasn't been in a relationship with him for 4 years, it still affects her to this day, and I see it. I see how it affects her. I literally see it. All right, she went into psychosis a couple of years ago. All right, it's like there. Oh my god.
And I think a couple of years ago, her going into psychosis, so far as I'm aware, I think apparently that's because they broke up, right? So this is like a long relationship. She gets out of it, and then it turns into a huge thing. Apparently, everybody's totally fine with it while they're in a relationship. Again, it feels weird to speculate, but he gives so much information, it hardly even feels like speculation.
I don't know, like, obviously he doesn't know any of this, right? But how can he assume that I'm just... What? Is he just naive? Does he just think that because the tutor was attracted to my sister at 16, that he was normal and he's not a hebephile? By the way, before he met my sister, in his 20s when he was 24, he fucked a 14-year-old. When he was 24, he fucked a 14-year-old.
Again, this is given. We don't know how Bowblax knows this. He never explains how he knows this. He never gives evidence. This is just something that apparently is known, and the parents were just like, okay with them dating.
14-year-old. He literally fucked a 14-year-old. He's a hebephile. He's what, like, it... Alright, We're continuing.
I know that's what her story was to
You
him.
can tell in his voice he's getting
Okay, then
like
she wrote the
so
story.
mad
That's
at
fine,
it.
but it's, still,
It's not a
still
story.
written. It's not objectively. It's not true.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Like, if I'm 36.
Yeah.
I'm twice the age of 18. So when I hear somebody about getting their life ruined by a relationship when they're 18, I'm like,
What? The relationship technically started before the relationship technically started when she was 16, but like it wasn't official.
Does Canada's school system not do backtrack? Okay, so it's not in school, okay? He's a private tutor, right? So this isn't a school tutor. I find this story hard to believe. The way he talks about it, yeah, it kind of is hard to believe. Or it's hard to really know what to quite think about it. That's at least my take.
Until they were 18, they didn't come out about it when they were 18. He didn't have sex with her until he was 18. That's the thing. He didn't have sex with her when she was underage.
The way Bowblax cannot tell stories, he cannot explain details, right? God knows how he did the Twitterverse stuff, right? Maybe because other people are telling the story and he just needs to compile it. I don't know, but he cannot tell stories.
oh, it takes much longer to ruin your life. I've ruined my life.
No, Romeo, that's not true. If you post it in chat, go get banned. Obviously, post it in the Discord, you will get banned. Post it anywhere, okay, permanently banned. His sister is known, right? I think she was a content creator for a period of time, so technically she's a public figure, but she is known, okay? It's not a psycho, or it's an altar made by trauma.
But you can't really ruin your life.
If he's a private tuner, that's on the parents. I mean, yeah, but apparently the relationship. This is the thing. If this is such a bad guy, and this was all known, how did they ever get into a relationship to begin with?
By the time you're 18 with a relationship, unless the person.
Her life wasn't. The relationship it ruined her life over time. There's so. What the fuck is he saying?
Like fucking like poked your eyes out with a fire poker or something.
Well,
like, yeah, that
I
could
assume
fucking do it.
I assume it's like referencing some traumatic situation that happened. That's something that person's gonna have to live with for the rest of their life. I assume that's what.
Well, I don't know what. Okay, well, without more detail, the idea that someone, if you're tutoring somebody and you see their,
he's just autistic, Sammy. I think he's a little bit more than just autistic. I think there's more going on there.
hot 16-year-old sister, and you.
She shouldn't have been a hot 16-year-old to him. She literally had braces on. She looked. Oh my god.
Have a casual, friendly, but flirtatious rapport with her until she's 18 and then you date her. I don't think that's grooming.
It is! What do you mean? You're 28, you're flirting with a 16-year-old, and then you immediately start fucking them when they turn 18. That is grooming. Is he retarded? Is he stupid? Is he a pedo sympathizer? Does he love... This is insane.
That's just being polite.
That's not being polite.
And this is the thing. I think this is probably past opinion. This is probably just like true. But until this point, Bowblax is obsessed with like, well, at least pretending that he's given like all this charity. And I don't want to put this label on you, you know. If you don't feel like it accurately describes you, I don't want to, you know, all of this stuff. He's like, I really want to try and understand where you're coming from. Thinly veiled, I would say. But here it kind of slips.
Fucking them when they turn 18. That is grooming. Is he retarded? Is he stupid? Is he a pedo sympathizer? Does he love... This is insane.
That's just being polite.
That's not being polite. That's fucking not getting fired. That's not getting fired from your tutor job because you're fucking the 16-year-old sister of your client. That's what it is. It's skirting the law. It's maybe after he fucked the 14-year-old when he was 24, he realized he just barely skirted the law and he didn't want to fucking get caught. That's what it fucking was.
I don't
not
know
polite.
how old the tutor was. Is it the tutor's like 50 or something? There's nothing about that story that makes me think like, oh my gosh, you're a victim of a pedophile, so that's why you take this so seriously. It just seems like
Well, I wasn't the victim, it's her.
an almost misogynistic, sex negative,
What?
simplistic Puritan reading of a story that could have been a happy story.
It wasn't a happy story. What do you mean, Puritan? This isn't some sex...
Okay, this is the thing as well, right? Because obviously this is a very, very serious story that he's talking about. Oh god, very serious story that he's talking about. But just the way he reacts to, well, it's obviously, you know, at the end of the day, he's put it out there. I mean, what can he even say, right?
sex before marriage type shit. Puritan.
Does he know what it means?
Maybe the tutor's like 25. And then you're like, oh shit, I have a crush on this 16-year-old. That's weird. Then 2 years later, you're like, she's 18, I'm 27, I still have a crush on her. Let's give it a shot. You date for
That's
5
not
years.
what it was.
That could be a perfectly normal. There's nothing about the ages that makes that story inherently about a predator.
Well, regardless, that's
And
what,
of course, Augie is friends with Bowblax. Augie is friends with them. And so he just goes, like, I mean, what can he even say? I mean, at least he's interviewing Max, I think, fairly. When I first saw this, I didn't know too much about Augie, right? But I was quite surprised by how, I guess, reasonable he was during this interview. Yeah, genuinely surprised. Augie's doing a really good job.
for Bowblax draws. That's where he gets like his negative reaction from you.
I know, but I'm
is
saying that maybe
something
there's
that
already
happened to a family member.
That's not why I have a negative reaction to him. I'm trying to be like as objective as possible. I'm just bringing up that situation to say it was in direct response to him saying that I have this opinion because it's mainstream, and I was just bringing up an example of a situation to show that that's not the case, and I'm willing to discuss.
Yeah, but the problem is he I think this you can attribute to autism, right? He doesn't realize what that is actually communicating, right? In terms of the literal text, he's saying, no, I'm not because of this. I've had my own experiences that's kind of informed me. Da, 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 da. What that says is, no, I'm not. This isn't my take as a popular opinion. I've got this personal story that is driving me to have this opinion, right? But I don't think he realizes.
Discuss this with my knowledge in mind, but I'm not going to use the situation and plaster it onto Mr. Girl. I don't think Mr. Girl is that tutor, right? Everybody's different. I'm not even saying he's close to that. I was just bringing it up to clarify that my opinions come from secondhand experience as well as, research and stuff like that. Like, I'm not like just saying Mr. Girl's bad because everybody else says he's bad. That's the reason I brought it up. I've never, and I only brought it up once here. I didn't bring it up when we talked on the stream. I didn't bring it up when we're discussing stuff. I didn't bring it up even when I was talking to Stars in
Well, yeah. I'll see you later.
private. I didn't bring it up. I'm not grafting this horrible situation that happened to my sister onto every single.
Well, thank you, Parapon. I appreciate that. Yeah, but I completely agree. This wasn't his story to tell, and yet he decides to tell it. And because he makes it, I guess, part of, the public kind of, discourse around the issue. What can Max do, right? Or at least, it's fair game, I feel like. It wasn't his story to tell. That's Bowblax's concern. That's not Max's, right?
Single pedophilic situation, slightly pedophilic situation, or what have you. I'm just saying that my opinion isn't coming straight from just it's socially acceptable. That's all I was bringing it up for.
But is that even something that happened to her? That's something she did. When you're 18, are things happening to you still? Or are you doing them? If you get a 5-year relationship, can you imagine, as a
Well,
male?
I'm assuming that something bad happened that caused it to end, and that's what
Okay,
I don't know.
How old are you?
20.
Okay. Can you imagine if you were 2 years into a relationship and it was going to last another 3 years, and then your sibling is out there saying you can never understand what happened to my brother. Augie was sucked into this 5-year relationship. It's just I think it's taking her agency away to tell the story that way. She's not fucking 12. The age of consent is 16 in most states.
I'm not taking her agency away. I feel like most of this is just self-explanatory. I don't even know if, you can talk about my tweet publicly. Obviously, I made the tweet publicly. But to just assume that I'm, bullshitting about it instead of, I don't know, asking for more details or something, or...
No. This is the thing as well. Bowblax says that everyone else is misunderstanding him, right? Yes, because everybody else... No, you're not understanding my argument. When people disagree with him, he's like, no, you're just not understanding me, right? This is the endless loop. But he is completely misunderstanding Max here, right? He's not making assumptions and calling it bullshit. He's saying, I understand what you're saying, right? I understand what you're communicating. Here's what I think is going on, in terms of your mental state, right? That's not making... There are assumptions made there, right? But he's saying... But he's not calling BS. He's saying, I think you think this is true, right? You're not lying. Just da-da-da-da. And why would Max ask for more details? That's, horribly invasive.
Or just not commenting on it because you don't know the intricacies of it. There's only so much I can share.
Not really, Sammy, but call in if you wanna talk about it, because I feel that might be an important thing to clarify. But yeah, feel free to hop in.
In a tweet, you know, in terms of details with the character limit. And I don't know how he doesn't see that as grooming. It's a literally textbook.
And with Romeo and Juliet laws, I don't know how old the tutor was. The tutor's like 23 or younger.
He was 28. Oh, also, I'll say this as well. When he broke up with her in his 30s, what did he immediately do? Guess what he immediately did after my older sister broke up with him? He started flirting with my younger sister, who was underage at the time, in his 30s.
Again, this is...
He invited us over to his house. And he offered us beers, both me and my younger sister. This was before we knew they broke up. They were broken up at the time, but we didn't know. All right? And I considered him a friend because both him and my older sister convinced me that the relationship...
Again, every now and again, he'll just like throw out this crazy detail that just completely spins the entire story. It's like, you considered him a friend. What are you talking about? Right? And they were fine, like, him and his sister, like, younger sister, just going on, like, going into his house. Apparently this was all seen as fine, right up until they, like, broke up, when she was, like, aged 23.
Relationship was okay, all right? I was younger, whatever. So after he breaks up...
Honestly, Sammy, it's fine. It's not like a big argument ever. It might be helpful for other people if you want to come in and ask, because I might have not clarified that very well.
We're at his house. This is the last time I saw him, by the way. With me and my younger sister at the time. She was 16 at the time, as well. Because it was 5 years later, and she's 3 years younger than me, and my older sister's 2 years older than me. He's in his 30s. He offered us beers. Luckily, I don't like the taste of beer. I literally don't like the taste of beer.
Luckily.
So I didn't have any. I was sober. But my younger sister got drunk, and he got drunk. And we all went back into the room to sleep, because we were having a sleepover or whatever. He's having a sleepover, by the way. He's having a sleepover with a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old in his 30s, all right? And he got one of them drunk. And he also wanted us to do other drugs, which I didn't participate in, and she didn't either. But there was one bed in the room. And if I wasn't sober, I stopped him. I physically stopped him from raping my younger sister, all right? I physically stopped him. I stopped him. So this isn't a case of, oh, he's 23 and she was 18.
And that seems like the way he tells the story makes me think it's bullshit, right? He's what, 17, 18 at the time? And this guy's he's like 30 years old. And he's able to, like, oh, I don't even know. The thing is, he gives just characterizations, but doesn't actually explain what went on. Yeah, so all you can really do is try and speculate and try and infer what's happened, but this is just...
In a lot of states, even if the age of consent is 18, you can still...
What were his parents doing this? I've got no clue. He never says. Apparently the parents were completely fine with it. Right up until they broke up, and then everything changed.
date a 16-year-old. It's not
I
too
don't
late
really
for you.
want to
You've got
like.
3 years left. But yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I understand. You don't want.
I don't want to debate like the
But
intimacy
this
of his
is my
personal
fucking
story.
problem. This is my problem with Bowblax. Is that he'll say like, "Oh,
Okay.
let me pour my heart out for a second. Oh, let me open up about why this is so personal to me." But you know, if then if
Well, no way a tutor or caretaker is taking them back to his place to give them drugs and alcohol. Yeah, I don't know what he's even talking about.
you're actually talking about the details of this, then you're disrespecting me, and you're.
He can talk about the details of it based on what I said, but to speculate and say that I'm lying and being disingenuous.
No. Again, he doesn't... It's almost as if he wants to have his cake and eat it too, you know? If you want to talk about the information I've put out there, that's fine. But you have to agree that I'm being truthful. No, that's not how it works. It's not how it works.
I would hope if I, express a personal experience that you would just take it at face value until you...
You mentioned this... No. So, the tutor's flirting apparently with his older sister. Again, is it flirting? I don't trust Bowblax to characterize that accurately. When she was 17, right? And then moves on. Yeah. Moves on. And they start dating when they're 18, right? And then this story, right, about them going over to his house, that is with the younger sister. many years later on, like 5 years later, after you know, the older sister then starts dating him. 5 years after that.
To inquire for more details. Also, I only brought it up because to say that
There's a Hawaiian shirt, yeah.
like literally, I say in the tweet, well, I have that view because my sister was groomed by a hebephile who was hired as a teacher for my autism, locked sights on her 18, ruined her life after she turned 18, not because it's mainstream. That's the reason I brought it up. I wouldn't have brought it up at all if he didn't do that. And then later, he still says, I only talk about it because it's mainstream.
And yeah, he's almost blaming Max now for the fact that he brought it up. It's like, no, dude, you don't get to do that.
He still says that, like, all the fucking time. He's like, oh, you're only having it because it's mainstream. You don't have your own agency. You're just saying it because it's mainstream. I gave you an example of why I have certain opinions on things. And I'm sorry if
I genuinely think Mr. Girl Max, right, he's got to be like the worst person for Bowblax's mind and what he finds irritating, right? Because he's hitting all the fucking triggers. You know, Bowblax clearly hates being mind read. That is Mr. Girl's bread and butter. You know? He hates people like speculating or, you know, calling BS. I don't think Max ever takes, you know, stories like this at face value. He's always thinking about, you know, what the mental scape is, or what the what the kind of mindscape is for this. Yeah, I do need a key binding, I know.
if like someone who's 28 and is a tutor and is attracted to, has a crush on a 16-year-old, and that's the result of it, yeah, I'm going to be suspicious of people in the same scenario. Obviously, I'm not going to say that they're going to do the exact same thing he did, or they're as malicious or whatever, but I am going to say that's a bad train of thought because I know what it could lead to. I've seen firsthand what it could lead to. You know, I'm not condemning them right away. He says thought crime, thought crime. I'm not saying thought crime. I'm saying these thoughts can become more dangerous if you don't do something about it. That's my point.
And again, you completely missed. It's fine. Chill. Good point. Like, subscribe. How many people in the chat? How many likes? Go on, Sammy. You should tell me this. Fuck. 19, 21 viewers, 12 likes. We've got to change that. We've got to change that. I support my own Lumpy Willy, okay? I support my own. But also, donate. I think the TTS is set to like $2 or something. Yeah, go ahead. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm so... You're dictated by advertiser-friendly guidelines and social pressure. No, I'm not. I have my own opinion.
You're debating about my trauma. And it's like, then don't bring up your trauma in a fucking argument about why you're calling me a pedophile on Twitter, you fucking dipshit.
I already said why I brought it up, and he can discuss it. He's allowed to discuss this. He's allowed to say all this shit, right? I just don't appreciate that he's talking about it openly without inquiring further. It's his right to. He can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's rude.
It's rude.
And I wasn't bringing it up.
This is such cope, okay? He doesn't think it's rude. He fucking hates it. And he was saying a second ago that he shouldn't. He's not allowed to. You can't talk about it like this, right? And now he's going back and just saying it's rude. Your reaction like 10 minutes ago was not to just somebody being rude, right? No.
Up to defend my point. I was literally just bringing it up to say that I have my own agency. One of the most annoying things I've been taught, that happens to me my entire life, because people think I'm less intelligent than others, is agency of my own opinion. Oh, you just have that opinion because someone else said it.
You're watching Augie today? Yeah, fair play, fair play. That's fine.
Someone smarter than you said that opinion. You have this opinion on pedophilia and hebephilia and NOMAP because the internet taught you to. Because you saw the Lion Maker situation. You didn't look into it yourself. I'm Mr. Girl. I'm so enlightened. I looked into psychology. Blah, 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 blah. I've looked into it too. And we have a different opinion. All right?
No. Max has a degree in psychology. Thing is, Bowblax will say stuff like this. Like, oh, I've looked into psychology. But he never... Yeah, it's fine. But it's fine, Jamie. But he never actually says anything that he's read, or like quotes anything specific. But he claims to have done this reading. I don't think he can. I don't think Bowblax can read into it. Sorry, I don't think Bowblax can read into that kind of stuff. I mean,
that's the reason I brought it up. And the fact that he can't realize that, even though I said it plain in text
for a
here,
dono,
or not here, but like the previous tweet, wherever it was. I said plain in text right here my intention with it. Maybe he needs to reread the tweets, you know. It's disingenuous to say I brought this up for any other reason than why I brought it up, which is to say I have my own agency and my opinion on this topic, and I'm well.
Perhaps, yeah. That's to understand. That's to argue why you brought it up. But as soon as you make it public, right? I feel like he's got two sides like fighting in him. He's got like, you know, how he feels about it. He does not want this talked about, and he's realized the cat's out of the bag. He's talked, but he feels like Max shouldn't be allowed to. And at the same time, he's got like, what I feel like is that Augie talking in his head, you know. Well, you know, it's public matter. You can kind of talk about it. You've made it public, you know.
Well acquainted with it on a personal level. That's all I was saying here. I'm not using the story to call you a pedo or a hebephile or whatever. I didn't even come to the conclusion that you're a nomad based on this at all. I came to it based on you saying you're attracted to cuties, which I came to that conclusion on this tweet.
Jesus Christ. I do feel I've bonded with Bowblax through this whole thing, though.
You think so?
Yeah. He's like a son to me.
Great. I have another dad.
He's been calling. He's after.
What does that mean?
I just think you call me a pedophile enough times. I
Never called him a pedophile. By the way, never called him a pedophile. He's projecting, or doing a straw man or grafting some other opinion onto me. I've never called Mr. Girl a pedophile.
start to develop. It turns
He's
into.
trying to use these debate terms. I don't know if he's trying to cripple them from Destiny at the time. But I don't know if he's trying to like engage in more of this like, I guess, debate sphere or whatever. Just say he's lying. He's misremembering. He's incorrect. Just say he's wrong.
A relationship of some kind.
I never called him a pedophile.
Because it's these intense feelings, and it's like he's like, you're not going to be my like arch nemesis. So I feel like I got to take Bowblax under my wing. We got to sort this out.
I never called you a pedophile. He's literally, if he's saying that I called him a pedophile, he's slandering. I never called him a pedophile.
That's not slander. Oh my god.
How old is Bowblax?
He's 25, I think.
Okay.
You wouldn't think it, would you?
Yeah, I'm old
24.
enough. I'm old enough to be his father. No, I would have been 12. Yeah. Not quite. Well, I'm ready to move on from Bowblax if you are.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my notes here.
Okay.
This article.
Oh, this article. I was going to move on to a question about technicals.
I'm not going to respond. Beyond the
You can
stream,
tell
I'm
how
not going
old
to make
this
a comment.
is. The fact they're
I'm not gonna
talking
make a
like
tweet.
about technicals.
I think the stream response speaks for itself.
True, Sammy. Don't know anyway.
Try not to get emotional. I mean, he just doesn't understand what grooming is. He just doesn't understand what grooming is. I could go more in depth with this. I still just scratched the surface.
I mean, I think, I guess talking about the Augie streams now, right? I think they're still probably like, good. Like, he's a funny guy. He's like a funny commentator to listen to and like, you know, whatever. I feel like people have got a lot of nostalgia over the last year though that's built up, and so the real thing can kind of never, kind of, you know, it can never like meet up to that like kind of expectation.
Here. But it's her story to tell, and it's not mine to say. So.
Oh, but you said so much. You can't say that now.
I'm very close with my sisters. This wasn't like an isolated incident. Like, the fact, obviously she was affected the most. She was affected directly.
This wasn't an isolated incident.
But like, obviously to a certain extent, it affected my younger sister because she was almost raped, and then it affected me to an extent because I was friends with this guy.
I don't know what that means. And he doesn't explain it.
I lost
He's never
a friend.
explained it.
Whatever.
And then he's saying he lost a friend. This is just, it's so confusing.
I don't know what to think about him. I'm just leaving. I gotta leave it alone. There's just nothing. I think his stances are clear. I mean, if I misrepresented him in any way by saying he's no map or whatever in my tweets,
Yes, Sammy. His tutor, apparently he considered him a really good friend. This is why it's so confusing. Yeah.
I'll correct it. I don't think I did. It's funny that the only thing that he can latch onto is just something that I didn't go in depth with. If I didn't make that tweet,
He can
what
latch
argument
onto
does he have? Like, he's
he just
clearly
doesn't.
upset at me in my tweets.
He's not
and
prepared
stuff,
for
but
this.
I just think factually I'm right. He's attracted to the cuties. That means he's a minor attracted person. It's as simple as that.
He's not
And I
even
think-
doing. He's not even throwing in the no map anymore. He's just going full map.
I'm being as charitable as I possibly can.
No, you're not.
I'm not calling him a pedo. I'm not saying he's going to offend. I'm not saying he's a danger to children. All I'm saying is that he can get aroused at minors in certain instances, which means he would be a minor attracted person, no map. And if he thinks that's literally what he said.
Sorry, yeah,
And if
bad
he thinks the label no map is uncharitable, that's just because of the stigma of the label. And I think if he is someone who advocates for breaking stigmas and being brave and punching through the negative perception of someone being attracted to a minor, he should also be able to acknowledge the logical truth that if you're attracted to minors, you're a minor attracted person. It's literally the same thing, just worded differently. And if he can't, if he's not comfortable with that, that means he is also pressured by society more than me, I would say. You know?
Also, this is the thing he can't get through either, right? He can't understand that. Yeah, Max does say that. He's like, he's the guy to like say the uncomfortable things. Like I think his podcast even now is called like Uncomfortable Conversations with Max Carson. But you can't say you're supposed to be the brave guy. You're supposed to do all this like brave stuff. Ergo, you should do this thing that would be brave.
I think
That's
he's
not a
pressured by
consistency
society
check you
to
can make.
avoid that label. And if he really had the balls that everyone says he has, he would acknowledge that that label is logically accurate at the very least. He doesn't have to adopt it. He doesn't have to call himself a no map. But
He just has to agree with
I
you
feel
to a
like it's
certain
just-
degree.
You're just in la la land. You're just delusional if you don't acknowledge the logical
Oh,
connection there. I didn't come into conversating with, having conversations with Mr. Girl wanting him to be a bad guy or someone I dislike. I'm not trying to paint him as a bad guy. I'm just trying to understand his position and come to an understanding. But he's really stubborn.
Speaks
You have
so
to 100%
fucking
agree
slow.
with everything Mr. Girl says, or he hates you, I guess, or he thinks you're bullshitting about everything.
This is the thing. He's so lost in his emotions. He somehow thinks that like Max hates him, which he doesn't. In fact, Max has generally been quite nice, and he says that he likes him.
It seems like we can't.
A couple of months later, he calls him a pedo. Yeah, I mean, he calls him a pedo sympathizer here, so
I can't have a productive
kind of already
discussion with him.
went off the rails.
Because if I disagree with him on any point, he will just get mad and try to assume the worst of you. I've assumed the best of him. I said he's not offending. I haven't called him a bad. I've literally in tweet said I don't think he's a bad person. I've tried to be as charitable as possible, but now he is saying that he isn't extending the same courtesy to me. He thinks that I'm lying or being disingenuous with my story in some way, or I'm mistaken. I've come to mistaken conclusions about it, or what have you. He's saying it very definitively, and he's not giving me the same benefit of the doubt that I gave him, and I don't appreciate that. So that's that. Hopefully you guys understand. If you agree with Mr. Girl,
Oh
if you
my
agree with people like
god.
this-
Dude, you were in the chat. Holy fuck. Tech kept talking up to you. I think you should hash it out one-on-one. You were right. You were fucking in there, dude. Dude, if you want to hop in to talk about the law, okay, feel free.
Yes, that's fine. I just think it's important to
Go in
realize
the
that
waiting room. Someone will play
not in
you.
all cases, but in some cases, these thoughts can lead to certain crimes. So I knew the guy personally. I knew the tutor personally. He didn't personally think that he was doing anything wrong. He genuinely didn't think he was doing anything wrong. He was a bit of a beta. He was a bit of he just didn't think he was doing anything wrong. And my issue is that you can keep thinking you're not doing anything wrong, and then you're accidentally doing something wrong without realizing it because you're
Fair play,
rationalizing it in
dude.
your head. So
If you
much.
want to hop in
And I think the
later,
stuff that Mr. Girl talks
feel
about helps
free.
people like that tutor
I'd genuinely
to
be
rationalize stuff in
interested to
their head.
see.
And I'm not saying it's always going to happen, but it could lead to rationalizing more and more extreme stuff to the point where you cross the line and you don't even realize it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Jamie did win.
I can't play Kirby after this. I might end the stream early. I can't play Kirby. I don't know.
Oh no! It's gone too far. He can't even play Kirby. Does he end the stream
Yeah,
now?
I mean,
I think he
I could
does.
keep playing Kirby. I probably will once I end the stream, but like I can't have upbeat commentary right now. I just can't go from thinking about something like this and explaining something like that and then going,
Yeah, dude, Kirby.
I just can't. So we're gonna raid someone.
That's
right?
what he was doing before this.
that's my
He
response,
was
my final
playing
response.
Kirby on like an
I'm not addressing him
emulator
again.
for the majority
He
of
has his
his
opinion, I
vlog.
have mine, and you can agree with whatever. Still not gonna say Mr. Girl's a bad person, but I don't. And he did.
I was
said
Mr.
the story
Girlfriend
publicly to
2 at the
extent that
time.
He's allowed to talk about it. I'm not
I was subbed on Twitch. He didn't like my Mr. Girl emotes. Yeah, I bet he didn't.
saying he crossed the line in that way. I just think.
Oh god.
I just don't think he should have made the speculation so definitively. It seemed like he was more making definitive statements rather than theorizing. And if he wanted to learn more, I don't even know if I would have told him in DMs, to be fair, because it's her story to tell, but I would have expounded upon the fact that it isn't what he described. All right, who's online?
As you're reading that there we go. There we go. Oh. That's the end of it. And yeah, he would go on to despise Max for the rest of his life. Still to this day,